This scene in Kingdom Hearts Dark Road was never explained. After a encounter with Hades, all of Xehanort's classmates except for Bragi and Baldur get sucked into a portal out of nowhere. A very abrupt ending to Olympus Coliseum. But after this happens, Hades says all that angst and for what? And then turns around and says, you. ... with a surprised expression and with his eyes being wide opened. Now, I just assumed at the time that this scene would be elaborated on later, being some surprise character reveal or something, maybe a Lushu, maybe a Master of Masters, but nope, it wasn't elaborated on at all. Some people go back to this scene and assume it was Baldur Hades was saying this too, but I don't know, something about that just feels weird since they never touched up upon it in that game itself, even after both Baldur and Bragi's reveals at the end of the game. So it seems kind of bizarre to leave a loose end like that. Something that would naturally, when going unexplained, would make people ponder. So a viewer in my live stream the other day came up with a very interesting theory, which you should totally come to our live streams, by the way. We have a ton of fun, lots of discussions, lots of mods, and it's always just a very good time. If you want to catch one, you should make sure to, subscribe. Anyways, I'm sorry. So a viewer came to my stream and said how they think the person Hades is talking to is Donald and Goofy from the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, which sounds crazy. I initially didn't think too much of it, but I was like, it sounds possible, especially knowing how crazy things can get when it comes to the Key Saga. This was not the wildest thing I've ever heard. Just one of them. So after the live stream, I was still kind of pondering this comment, and it turns out upon thinking about it that this theory actually could have a lot of merit to it. There's something there. Just some small things that support this idea. For starters is the way that worlds work in a interesting way in Dark Road. Worlds flow on their own time compared to a universal time most worlds seem to flow on in the era we're in, starting with Birth by Sleep, or that we thought worlds flowed on. Instead, with the worlds in Dark Road, a reason you see characters like the Queen, Hades, Beast, Jafar, and etc. is because these worlds are somewhat frozen in time to a degree, or their time is moving really slowly. This I kind of always thought was just a writing excuse to reuse worlds in games that took place during the Key timeline. In Kingdom Hearts Key, the reasoning for visiting these worlds was that they were projections from the Book of Prophecies, aka Data worlds. However, in Dark Road, we are visiting real versions of these worlds, but since the worlds are still somewhat recently separated in Dark Road's timeline, they still need time to sort of catch up. So all the worlds are moving at their own sort of isolated pace. Because worlds work at this pace, events that happen in the worlds for the Disney characters, at least certain ones, could be happening at a way faster pace than we imagine, or a way slower one, depending on the world. It's not a completely solid idea. There's some holes you can poke in this, but it's not entirely impossible is the point I'm trying to get across, because of this new information we have from Worlds. It is by no means confirmed that this is Olympus in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, but it is a very dark place, which would fit the underworld, and I would argue that this fire looks a lot more like Hades' fire than anything else. Plus, the character speaking sounds like Hades, and they sound somewhat upset, which we know Hades goes from blue to red when he gets angry. You can see how we get to that conclusion. Plus, from Dark Road, we now know that you are able to talk to dead characters through the underworld, regardless of the world they die in. So this is probably going to be a way for Donald and Goofy to find out that Sora isn't quite, well, dead, but just not here. So it makes sense for them to visit here, lore-wise. There's also another factor to consider, that Donald and Goofy and Mickey all were in Daybreak Town at one point in Union Cross. This is something that has happened in the past, so them showing up in Dark Road's timeline isn't too much out of the question. And I'm saying Dark Road's timeline, but based on the theory, it wouldn't even be that way. The idea is that because worlds are flowing at this sort of weird and bizarre pace, that somehow right after this scene in Dark Road, Hades interacts with Donald and Goofy from Kingdom Hearts 4. But of course, that would bring in a ton of other questions that I don't even think I have the capability to explain. That brings up the possibility of when young Xehanort visits Olympus Coliseum in Dark Road, that possibly events in Cage 2 or 3 other games have maybe already happened, or maybe they're happening in some weird order. This theory gets really bizarre. But the idea that Hades recognizes whoever this person is do make Dawn and Goofy some interesting candidates. And this is some sort of prediction for what the future story may hold as far as Disney Worlds go, as far as how worlds work. We are in for some more mind loopy stuff. That's the phrase I'm gonna use for it, mind loopy, yes. That's just the gist of it though, of what I'm thinking regarding this theory. Since it's a scene that was very much so not explained or elaborated on, it could be a couple of people. It could just simply be Baldur after the encounter with Bragi. It could indeed be Dawn and Goofy, which would put all world timelines in question. Or it could also be Maleficent, which I think is a decent possibility. But for that same reason that Dawn and Goofy being there would be weird, Maleficent being there would cause many questions as well. But my brain is pretty much fried. There are a lot of possibilities with this, and the fact that this scene was even left like this and not explained in the game is very bizarre. So there's something going on here. If you have any thoughts about this or have any ideas to further expand upon this theory or debunk it for that matter, type them down below, feel free. I definitely want to turn this into a big discussion, as I do think there might be something here. That will be all for today though. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, you already know what to do. Leave a like, share it with a friend or family member, and last but not least, if you have not already and want to become a part of the union, all you have to do is hit that red subscribe button down below. I'm Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye.
Now she's a daydreamer. She's always thinking about him. No more room in this picture. You'd have fit in. Now she's crying on the phone, telling you she's not good enough for him. When you think that she is perfect.